These 8 useful English words will boost your everyday fluency and your IELTS, TOEFL, or Cambridge score. And you won't just memorize them. You'll meet each one inside the story, feel what it means, then prove you caught it. That's how your brain keeps them for good. Nina was 15, and that summer she fell in love for the very first time with a boy named Luca, and over one beautiful, terrible mistake. For 6 whole weeks, she barely said a word to him. And on the very last day, she nearly threw the whole thing away over a girl she had never even met. Nina spent every summer in the little seaside town where her family had a cottage. This year, everything was different because of the boy who worked at the café on the quay. His name was Luca, and from the first morning Nina laid eyes on him, she had the most enormous crush. Just the sight of him carrying trays in the sun made her blush scarlet and forget every word she knew. All summer, Nina worshipped Luca from a careful distance. She would buy a lemonade she did not even want, just to stand near him for a moment. She stole shy little glances at him over her book on the beach, and each time he glanced back and smiled, she blushed and looked quickly away. She adored everything about him, his easy laugh, the way he whistled while he worked. In her diary, she filled whole pages with how much she adored that boy. And slowly, sweetly, Luca began to notice her too. He started saving her the seat in the shade. He asked her about her book. By the middle of August, they were talking and laughing together every afternoon, and Nina walked home each evening so giddy with happiness that her feet barely touched the ground. She was sure, almost sure, that he liked her too. She had never felt so giddy or so hopeful in all her life. Then, 3 days before the end of summer, everything fell apart. Nina came around the corner toward the cafe and stopped dead. There was Luca, her Luca, with his arm around a beautiful older girl, laughing, his head bent close to hers. A hot wave of envy rushed through Nina, sharper than anything she had ever felt. The girl was lovely, grown up, sure of herself. Watching them, Nina felt small and silly and utterly heartbroken. Of course Luca had a girlfriend. How could she ever have hoped? For the last 3 days of the summer, Nina avoided the cafe completely. She took side streets to keep away from it. The crush that had made her so happy now made her feel foolish and sore, and the jealous envy sat in her chest like a cold stone. She had been such a child, she told herself, to imagine that a boy like Luca could ever like a girl like her. She spent her last days heartbroken, packing her case and counting the hours until she could go home and forget him. On the very last morning, as Nina dragged her case toward the bus stop, a voice called her name. It was Luca, running down the lane, out of breath. "You disappeared," he said, looking hurt and confused. "3 whole days? I thought you were angry with me. Did I do something wrong?" Nina's heart twisted. She could not look at him. "You have a girlfriend," she said quietly. "I saw you, with the older girl, at the cafe." Luca stared at her for a moment, and then, to Nina's complete surprise, he burst out laughing. "A girlfriend?" he said. "Nina, that is Elena, that is my sister. She came down from the city for the week." The whole world seemed to tilt and then right itself. There was no girlfriend. There had never been a girlfriend. And Luca, still pink and grinning, said the very thing Nina had dreamed of all summer, that he had been completely besotted with the shy girl who bought lemonade she never drank. That he had been just as besotted and just as tongue-tied as she had. They had 10 minutes before the bus came. They spent them on the harbor wall, both going pink and blushing and laughing at how silly they had each been. Luca took her phone number and her address and made her promise to come back next summer. And Nina climbed onto that bus, not heartbroken at all, but so dizzily giddy that she grinned the whole long way home. Nina did go back the next summer, and the one after that. But she never forgot the lesson of that first dizzy, foolish year, that a single jealous glance at something she did not understand had very nearly cost her everything. She had let a wave of envy, over a sister, of all people, convince her that the boy she adored could never adore her back. The truth, all along, was that her summer crush had been holding his breath and stealing shy glances at her, exactly as she had at him. Now, and did you catch all 8? Let's find out. A noun for a strong but often short-lived romantic feeling for someone. It's the giddy secret liking a teenager feels for someone they fancy. From the first morning, Nina had an enormous one of these on Luca. Nina had the most enormous what? Romantic feeling on the boy who worked at the cafe.
The word is crush.
She had a huge crush on the new boy in her class. A verb meaning to go red in the face, usually from shyness or embarrassment. It's what your cheeks do, turning pink, when someone teases you. Nina did this whenever Luca looked at her and smiled. Every time he smiled at her, Nina did what? Went red in the face and looked away?
The word is blush.
She blushed bright red when the teacher praised her in front of everyone. A verb meaning to look at something quickly and then look away. It's the quick darting look you give someone you don't want to stare at. Nina kept doing this at Luca, then looking quickly back at her book. She would do, what? Look quickly. Shyly at him over her book, then look away again.
The word is glance.
He glanced at his watch and realized he was already late. An adjective for feeling dizzy and lightheaded with excitement or joy. It's the spinning, fizzy happiness of someone almost too excited to stand still. Walking home each evening, Nina felt this, her feet barely touching the ground. She walked home so what? Dizzy with joy, that her feet barely touched the ground.
The word is giddy.
The children were giddy with excitement on the morning of the trip. A noun for the unhappy, jealous feeling of wanting what someone else has. It's the green-eyed ache of wishing you had what another person has. A hot wave of this rushed through Nina when she saw the older girl. A hot wave of what? Jealous longing rushed through her, sharper than anything she had felt.
The word is envy.
She felt a sharp pang of envy at her friend's brand new bike. A verb meaning to love and admire someone very deeply. It's the worshipful love you feel for someone you think is wonderful. Nina did this to everything about Luca, his laugh, his whistling. She did what? Loved and admired deeply. Everything about him, from his laugh to his whistling. The word is adore. She absolutely adored her little brother and spoiled him rotten. An adjective for being overwhelmed with grief or sadness, especially in love. It's the deep, aching sorrow of a love that you believe has been lost. Nina felt this when she was sure that Luca had a girlfriend. Watching them, she felt small and silly and utterly what? Overwhelmed with sadness.
The word is heartbroken.
He was heartbroken when his best friend moved to another country. An adjective for being so much in love that you can think of nothing else. It describes someone hopelessly, dizzily in love with another person. It turned out Luca was secretly this with Nina, all summer long. Luca had been just as what? Hopelessly in love with her, and just as tongue-tied all summer.
The word is besotted.
He was completely besotted with her from the moment they met. Quick recap. How many do you still remember?
Crush. Blush. Glance. Giddy. Envy.
Adore.
Heartbroken. Besotted.
A new English story every day. Subscribe and learn useful words the way your brain actually keeps them. Inside a story you won't forget.